And now, our feature presentation.
The best in the world is right here, right now.
Whether you like it or don't like it, pal, learn to love it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome. All right, listen up.
Now it's our time to step forward. It's time to bring the NWA back into the spotlight.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
It's the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, DKM, and JCal.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling and Alliance. Alliance, easy for me to say, and the United Wrestling Network. With me, of course, you guys know me. If you don't know me by now, my name is JCal, and these two chuckleheads next to me are none other than DKM and your former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Kevin Frazier. Did I get the name right? Is it spelled right this week?
Let's see over there. Let's see where we at. Oh yeah. You got it right.
Yeah.
Only known as Kevin Douglas if you're
the modern day hero.
I'm a real thing. So yeah, you can Google Kevin Douglas Wrestling. You'll get plenty of good stuff on YouTube and via Google and Cage Match. All of those.
Cage Match is a great resource for anyone who wants to research wrestling. Now remember, it's not 100% effective or efficient or correct, but they have such a wealth of information. If you are a fan of professional wrestling and you want to know what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, Cage Match is a great resource. That was not a paid endorsement. We don't need.
I would agree with it. I would agree with that because a lot of people, a lot of this stuff is on there pretty good. It goes way back to like I'm wrestling like 2000 in a mass in Plano Community College, Collin County Community Center, basketball gym. The Necro Butcher.
Necro Butcher. There it is.
Yeah. But Iceman King Parsons giving me advice back, telling me not to wear the mask anymore because I was too pretty.
He was right, you know.
He was right.
He was right.
Back then. Happy Thursday to everybody watching. Jerry, I see you in here. Dave, Jimmy, what's up, baby? Thank you guys for putting up with a little bit of a delay, but...
Hey, late breaking news. I don't know if you guys heard this. The NWA has been purchased. Tony Khan has bought the NWA. They'll be bringing Nick Aldis to face Kenny Omega at the next pay-per-view. It's going to be a three-way match. Kenny Omega, Rich Swann, Nick Aldis for all the gold.
Devin, what do you think about that?
Well, I think Jay's not very good at things like that. Because if you don't know, of course, is April 1st when you should believe anything that's posted on the internet or said on the podcast. Just like every other day of the year.
I was going to say, every day must be April Fool's Day because you can't believe anything you read here.
I will say this. For like 3 years in a row, I announced that I had sold Alliance-Wrestling.com to somebody, either the NWA or to, the sporting news website, to DKM, and every year I got people hook, line, sinker. They're like, really? Congratulations, bro. I was like, yeah, I didn't really sell anything, guys.
So one thing I wanted to talk today about, totally off subject, so we didn't get to talk off there, but we got to talk now that we're on here, and I didn't wear my Rangers hat. Should have. But today is opening day, baby.
That's
Baseball's back.
And that's really what we're celebrating here today. Although this is the wrestling show of record for the National Wrestling Alliance, we do talk a little bit of baseball here and there, but don't worry, we won't bore you to death. Just know that Kev is a Texas Rangers fan, Jay is an Angels fan, and DKM has been a casual observer since the Rangers got rid of Nolan Ryan. So, is that accurate?
That's accurate.
All right then.
Oh man. So guys, are we ready to talk some wrestling? I'm sure the people in the chat room are tired of hearing about our baseball and our lives, and ready to hear about some NWA wrestling.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's. Go ahead, DK.
No, I'm ready to hear about NWA wrestling too.
Well, so like the big news, obviously, out of the TV tapings that aired, is we have a new NWA national champion in Chris Morderski, aka Chris Adonis, formerly known as Chris Masters. He won the national championship in kind of a peculiar way of winning the title. We're going to get to that in a minute. But NWA Power, it kicked off. Oh my gosh. We've got people here in the chat. We've got, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Malifercurums. Tony Khan just licensed the Pixie Wears My Mind for Orange Cassidy. He's on a buying streak. That prank is logical. See, somebody else appreciated my prank. Sorry, I got...
Are we getting feeds? I'm looking, I'm not seeing it in the chat room.
Oh, you know what? Because, okay, so if you guys don't know, we stream on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you guys are in the YouTube chat room, you're seeing what the YouTube folks are chatting about. If you're on Twitch, you're seeing the text in Twitch. And then if you're, just watching the video, we have the chat room actually streaming on both, so that you can see the chats from both chat rooms going. But yeah, like we were saying, there's a new national champion, and we'll be talking about that momentarily. You've got the way Power kicked off. Again, this is one of my biggest dilemmas with the NWA. I feel like they're not sure where they want to go with Nick Aldis, because week in, week out, it feels different. Roscoe's here. Welcome, Roscoe. Roscoe's from Australia. Thanks for checking us out. I'm sure it's really early in the morning over there. But I always get confused with which direction they want to go with Aldis, because one week he'll cut a babyface promo and then be a heel in the main event. Next week he cuts a heel promo, and it's just really hard to follow. Kev, I mean, you were in the biz, and you used to cut mean promos. Tell me about tell me about Nick Aldis and how they can't ever seem to stay to one thing with him.
Well, we said this last week, and I'll say it again this week. Nick Aldis is a heel. Period. No matter how he throws out the line to try to hook you and reel you in to him being a babyface, since we have been doing this show, since I've been watching NWA with Nick Aldis as champion, he has been a heel, period. But at the same time, I do appreciate that you guys let him play with your emotions. Because we know he's a heel, period. And even if he tries to deceive you into believing that maybe he is something more than that, don't be deceived. Nick Aldis is a heel. As long as he's surrounded by other people that are keeping him from losing the title, that's a heel. Period. I don't care what he says on microphone. Because tell me this, a good liar is still a liar, correct?
Yes, that is
and
accurate.
If you're a liar in wrestling, you're not a babyface.
No.
Not in general. Not in traditional sense. What do you think, DK?
Yeah, I mean, basically with you, Aldis, he's an articulate heel. He's not a heel in the same vein as, the dirty, dastardly heels or the screamers or the yellers or whatever. He's not even, Larry would talk with a loud voice. He's that kind of calm. He tells just enough truth to, make you go, yeah, that's right. Then he reels you in with his with his little dastardly thing. Obviously, this was a setup, kind of. But we get, we get to the fact that, Trevor Murdoch came out, and if you watch carefully, you see it's very much a setup, very much a heel. And so, I don't know, Jay, what was your thought of the Trevor Murdoch angle there?
Well, I like that they are trying to show us that, Trevor Murdoch is a proud man and he's a fighting man. But I also think this angle right here, this storyline right here, shows that he's more brave than he is smart. Because he's an injured man. He's coming off. He was injured at the pay-per-view, right? Adonis put him on the shelf. That's why he didn't make the first episode of Power. He was on the second episode, already nursing an injury. He comes out to confront Aldis, which again, I don't know what game you're trying to play there, because you're the national champion and you have to defend that title against all comers. You need to focus on that title and that situation. He comes out to address Aldis and tell him how he loses respect for him because he's partnering with Adonis, and this is the kind of stuff that I don't enjoy the booking. I don't think this was a well played angle. I'd rather he had gone out there and Strictly Business helped Adonis with the title if that's what they wanted to do. I think there's a lot of different avenues they could have went with this, and I think they took the lazy way out. That's my opinion, because having Trevor Murdoch come out and get beat up by Adonis, in a real fight, I don't think anyone in that roster could stand toe-to-toe Trevor Murdoch. That's a bad dude right there. And then for him to get blindsided, I get it. But I don't know. I just felt like even more so, we'll get more into the match in a little bit, but getting injured and then still trying to make that match happen, I just thought was just lazy booking.
Oh, I'm going to do my best tonight to be positive about the show, but a lot of things that happened, in my mind, I felt like they made Trevor Murdoch look bad. The whole, across the board. Him coming out and interrupting Nick Aldis' fun. Not really a babyface move. Even if you're mad, interrupting that. The playoff and interaction that he had with Aldis. Aldis looked better than him. In all. It just, the whole setup, I just didn't really, I felt like they made Trevor Murdoch look bad. And I know what they were trying to do, but in doing it, they made him look bad. And it really, when you do that, a champion that has been built up, someone that the show has really put as one of their tiered guys, those are the guys you protect. Those are not the guys you feed to some new guy that's just coming in for one season. Regardless of what you're going to be doing, I just wasn't a big fan of it, wasn't a big fan of how they set up, and of course as we go on later, I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the match.
Well, Kevin, I think just put it best. He said what I was thinking, which was, you got your loyal guy here who's been around, the fans take him to, and then you have the new guy that's just got in it. And look, I'm not bothered by the title change. I'm bothered by how they presented the title change. And, to Jay's point and Kevin's point, the concept was obviously that Trevor Murdoch is supposed to look tough. But that's not the way they presented him.
Nope.
He came out, he got one-sided, he got beat up.
And he came out whining.
Right. And then, we'll review the match later, but, it's not like he was ever really in it. And I have another problem with the match, too, that we'll talk about later. But here's the biggest thing, is they just pulled a similar angle or similar story 2 years ago. Colt Cabana, national champion. Something happened where he hurt his leg. I don't know if it was part of the ROH storyline, real life, or what. But, you know, he hurt his leg, and James Storm comes out and goes him into defending the title and wins the title off Colt. I mean, you just did this, people. This isn't new. This isn't, you know, I don't know, they went to a way big throwback for that. You just did it. National champion has been their most unstable title since they brought it back. And we need to do something about that.
A couple of things. Sorry, DK, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say that they need to do something about that, and they need to think things through. I don't feel like this is thought through. I feel this is almost Russo-ish, and it's like, you know, people sit around and go, oh yeah, you know, this is cool, this would be great, watch. No, it wasn't.
I think a couple of things that should be noted is that in terms of the national title, we've had 5 men or 6 different champions. Again, it started off with Willie Mack, Colt Cabana, James Storm, Colt Cabana, and then we Aaron Stevens, Trevor Murdoch, and now officially with Chris Adonis. So you're right, the volatility of the title, it's moved around more than any other championship, and only in such a short amount of time. Remember, that title was reintroduced to the NWA at the 70th anniversary show, and it was the first title that they crowned a new champion. So that was kind of interesting. The other thing I want to point out, and it's something that Woodland Goblin said, Roscoe said, 2 things, is keep in mind the last time James Storm lost his national championship, he main evented the next pay-per-view against Aldis. I want you guys to keep that in mind. And then the second thing is, Roscoe pointed out that he can't believe that Billy Corgan would let someone in a neck brace wrestle. That makes Corgan look negligent. And I know he put LOL, but let's think about that. If this was a real work environment and your boss is like, yeah, go ahead and go out there with a neck brace, I mean, OSHA would be in there closing the shop down, right? But for whatever reason, that's okay in wrestling. And, you know, we all have to suspend our belief a little bit, or suspend our disbelief, I should say, because it's the show, right? We want to enjoy the show. But this is one of those times where I really felt like they blew an opportunity to do something unique. If they were going to put the belt on Adonis, there was a better way to do it. Why not just do it at the pay-per-view? It would have made more sense to me that way.
I want to jump on something there real quick. We talk about suspending our disbelief. Okay, you got to make it realistic for us to suspend our disbelief. You can't do some of what's going on in current modern wrestling, where a guy can be DDT'd 28 times in a match, super kick 43 times in a match, and then pin with a elbow drop off the top rope. Okay, there's some that's not believable.
Right.
And so, by the same standard, you send a guy out in a neck brace, right? I'll give Adonis this, he ripped it off. Which is what you would do if you were really in a fight with somebody with a neck brace. People know I hate when guys go in with bandanas in their head, or headbands or something like that. Because in a true fight, whoever your opponent was, babyface, heel, whatever, will grab that thing, choke the crap out of you.
Evan, you're so old school. It makes my heart happy. You know, I want to interject. I feel like right now, since we're already talking about this, and we've already pretty much spilled beans, why don't we just finish out about the national title and not go back to it later? Because we've already pretty much kind of, we all feel how we all express our feelings on it. Honestly, for a main event, to me, that was a huge letdown. And the reason I say this is pay-per-view. You're paying money for the show. You're asking for a little bit more than you would on a free show. And the fact that other wrestling shows, look, we're not in a bubble. Other wrestling shows exist, all right? Like, they exist. And I know we're talking throwback and it's NWA, but the truth is that these other wrestling shows still exist, and what we see on those shows, at least some of us who watch those, there has to be some translation over crossing over. You can't just live like it doesn't exist, and we can't pretend like it's 1987. So some of the things that are going on in the wrestling world today still have to be included in this, or it becomes irrelevant, or it becomes something that it's not believable. This belief is gone because they're doing stuff that is already played out. That being said, you got to do better for your main event. Having an injured guy out there in the neck brace wrestling half the match is not a main event. It's just not. Not for something that you're paying for. When you're paying for something, you want to see a quality match with quality work. So I'm all for the title change, just like Devin said, it's just how it was done. Look, I don't care that, like, it doesn't hurt, to me it doesn't hurt Trevor Murdoch to go out there and lose to Chris Adonis. He doesn't need an injury to lose that match. Good baby faces lose matches like that, man. And you know what they do? They get back up, just like Trevor Murdoch would. They wipe the dust off. They get back in there and they win the title back. That's what it does. You lose like a man. You don't need all that, and then it hurts the match. To me, nothing is more frustrating trying to watch a match where somebody's working a body part that absolutely hinders the quality of the match. To me, as a wrestler, I feel like that you're doing this fans a disservice, especially because it's a work, guys. It's a work. All right, hello. Like, I know it's suspended disbelief and all that, but like, you get to choose a lot of times what you're gonna work. And then why would you do something like that? Anyways, I'm just kind of ranting a little bit, but I feel like they kind of botched it for a main event. If it's gonna be that, give us a good match for the main event. Don't give us something that's like a half-hurt wrestler. And give us, I'll call it a gimmick match. Or give us a gimmick match for your main event, and then have one of your top babyface, two of your top babyface, if you think about it, go down like a chump.
But, you know, that nails it. The match wasn't competitive. First of all, the main event was supposed to be the TV title, Punk versus Roster. And that's a match I'm looking forward to because these guys moved up. Right? I mean, I think we all agree on it. No, we're putting off till next week. So we can have a no DQ match. To quote a famous podcaster out there, no DQ equals lazy. Right. And, luckily it wasn't a big factor in the match. But the reason it wasn't a big factor in the match because there was absolutely no competitive edge to it. Trevor Murdoch did not look good in any single way. He didn't have comeback. He didn't, sure, he didn't tap. He passed out. But even in that, he just totally passed out. There was no, he checked the arm 3 times and he fell 3 times. That was it. Right.
Now, something I want to point out real quick, and I meant to say this earlier, but we didn't get to it. And Kevin, I know you remember the Regent Showcase Theater in Hollywood. I remember you being there, and I remember seeing Percy Pringle sitting on the other side, and I remember seeing Dave Marquez there, and Joe Schmo, and Stu Stone, and they were all there coaching promos. And I remember sitting there listening to, I'm just going to go ahead and name drop, Ryan Taylor cutting a babyface promo. And it came out very whiny. And Adam Pearce, your NWA World Heavyweight Champion at the time, was also there. And he stopped it. And he said, "Stop it. That's shit. You sound like a whiny babyface. How could I get behind you? How could I support you? You sound like a crybaby. I don't want to see you win. I want to see you lose because you're a loser. You're taking the wrong approach."
It's all right. Right. No, I agree with that. And again, I feel like we might want to kind of move on because I don't think any of us really liked the opening promo or the main event. I think we all probably can agree with it, and I feel like they could have done a better job in the national title, which I did hold for like 20 seconds. Deserves better. I did hold the national title for 20 seconds.
Yeah, about 2.5 minutes.
Was it that long? You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Kevin Douglas is an NWA national champion, whether the record books show it or not. The video does not lie. So y'all stop doing my title like that.
Yeah, and I want to say this now because it fits into now, since this was technically a no disqualification match. Can we go several weeks without any type of quote-unquote gimmick match? No three-ways, no four-ways, no disqualifications, no count-outs, no whatever. Can we have about 4 of them? In an hour? I'll take 3 to 4 good matches, in an hour. Tag team, 6-man tag team, singles, of course. I just no gimmicky things that aren't needed. And here's the thing. I said coming back that the NWA needs to do KISS. Anyone know what KISS stands for? Keep it simple, and either stupid if you want the clean version, and if you don't. And so that's what they need. They need to do some KISS here. They need to keep it simple. Put on 3 to 4 good matches every week. Build to something, a pay-per-view somewhere in the future. Get me interested. And like Kevin said, I'm paying, and you can go, oh, Devin, it's only $1.66 a week, a show. I don't care. I can watch plenty of shows from wrestling for free. So if you're expecting me to pay something, and you're limiting your audience. Just today on Twitter, some guy said, "Hey, I saw a bootleg version of episode 22, and therefore I went ahead and got the subscription." What he didn't say was, "I got the subscription. Boy, I'm happy now." I had to actually see a show first before I was willing to do anything. So, step it up a notch here. All right, Jay, what happened after the interview that led to the main event that apparently none of us liked? I expect you to remember everything in the entire world, Jay, especially since I know that the next match featured, a person that you just love and you love their name and you think it's the greatest of all time. Who did slice Boogie Face? Who did slice Boogie Face? I thought he faced Plunkett.
Well,
I hear you.
Let me jump in on this match then. Look.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Having a hell of a day with technology, guys. Sorry about that. It's an April Fool's Day joke.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I'll take the floor on this one. Look, man, I'm not gonna knock guys that go out there, or girls, and they're chasing the thing, they're trying to do it, this is what they want to do. Like, I don't doubt one bit that Slice Boogie means well. I don't doubt one bit that his opponent wants to become something in wrestling. But this was not a pay-per-view quality wrestling match. This was not even like high-level independent wrestling. Like, this was like West Texas Saturday night in front of 35 people, 2 green guys going out there having a match to try to get some ring time under their belt. That's what that match looked like to me. And I'm not knocking these guys, but ring positioning was terrible. Camera positioning was terrible. Psychology was terrible. The whole thing, I'm sorry. Like, it was not a match that belongs on a pay-per-view National Wrestling Alliance television show. No offense. First of all, Slice Boogie had no business beating Crimson and Jack Stain and the other guy, because all 3 of them are better. And then he had no business wrestling this guy, who was less than those guys, on a pay-per-view NWA wrestling event. Again, no disrespect. Take it however you want. But if someone told me about my match and said that about how I wouldn't get offended. I would go to the gym and start getting better. But this is bad booking. You don't book that match. Neither one of those guys look like big-time, prime-time wrestlers. And Slice Boogie may have a high ceiling to get to that. He's got a good body. He's got a good look. But he's wearing tennis shoes to match his gear, because you don't have boots. They have our entrance outfit. Like, bro, that's not his fault, honestly, because he didn't book himself. They booked that.
And this is
NWA, not the 2 guys. It's who put that thing out there. And there, I'm done.
And this is one of the reasons why I think our show offers something unique and different, because you're getting a take from somebody who was in the ring, somebody who was presented as a champion by the NWA, and he's telling you right now what he thinks. Now, it doesn't matter that Jeremiah Plunkett once challenged Satoshi Kojima for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship at NWA Saw, and it doesn't matter if he was the NWA Mid-South Heavyweight Champion. We're talking about here and now, and in the ring, that match wasn't a great match. And I think the point we have to keep saying is, like, this, we're paying for this. This isn't a free YouTube show. And if it was a free YouTube show, maybe the point of view would be a little bit different. Now, I mean, and I'm gonna say this again, and this will probably get me heat with the hashtag NWA fam. But if this wasn't an NWA show, I sure in hell wouldn't have paid for it. And I was very disappointed by this show. I don't think it was their best effort. And now the women's match, I enjoyed the women's match a lot more than I enjoyed the 2 matches we've spoke about. And then we're going to get to Tyrus and Austin Idol here in just a second. Again, I know some of you just absolutely adore Austin Idol on commentary and think he's a muse. I am not one of those people. But he comes out, and he comes out with, of course, with his man Tyrus. And I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. Tyrus defies the laws of gravity, because I watch him week in and week out, and he even falls slow.
Do I get to talk about the Slice Boogie match?
Oh, my!
Devin, go ahead.
Sure, you can. You can if you want to. I thought we put that to bed.
I just thought you didn't have anything you wanted to say about it.
Kevin pretty much put it to bed. Look, I was a little disappointed because I've seen Plunkett before in the past, and he's better than what I saw in this particular episode. So I don't know what his deal was. Maybe it was he and Slice just didn't mix well. Slice Boogie needs to go to rehab. Not rehab for alcohol or drugs, or he needs to go to rehab for wrestling gimmick. And when he comes back, he needs to have a decent name. He needs to have a real wrestling outfit. And then what I need are for the announcers and the people, interviewers and people backstage to explain to me why he's getting the push he's getting. It seems like they're building him to something. I just don't know what. And so, you know, guys, people, you got to help me. You're presenting him supposedly as somebody that, hey, you know, keep an eye on him. He's winning. He's won some big matches with some. Okay, now explain to me why I need to care about that. You know, I don't get it, and you need to help me get it, NWA. So
there's nothing to get, Devin.
Well, exactly. That's my point. It's like I'm not getting it.
He's not Crimson. He's not Jax Dane. Yet he's got wins over both of those guys in a 3-on-3. Now he gets a premier match, like opening match on the show, pretty much. Getting like enhancement talent.
And they squashed Jordan Clearwater, who has tons of potential, and I don't get that either.
I don't get it. And look, if Slice Boogie, don't come after me, bro. First of all, it may not go good for you. But number two, like, it ain't about you, man. It's not that I have anything wrong with you. It's the way it's being. This is supposed to be a big time show. There's certain level of work rate that we expect when we're paying for pay-per-view. But we did not get it in that match. Whether you like that or not, take it however you want to take it.
Speaking of paying for something and not getting anything, Jay, you were talking about Tyrus and Austin Idol?
Yeah. I just
guys, sorry for the positivity tonight, fellas, but we're bringing it raw.
And you know, the funny thing is, the pre-show, the planning that we put into this, I said, all right, guys, let's try to be positive. But the more we sit here and talk about it, the angrier I'm getting. And I'm used to Kevin getting upset because, you know, Kevin has been in the ring. So I take his word with a lot of positivity that he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in those trenches. So if Kevin tells me, hey, that guy's wooden and laconic and doesn't belong in the ring, then I know he's talking about Tyrus. But if there's a talent who's good and Kevin says that guy is good, like Tom Latimer, then I'm going to be like, all right, Kev, I got your back because I know you've been in those trenches.
Remember when we were watching United Network and the one tall dude came out and I said, that dude is a talent. Next week he's on AEW. Got a job full time. I can't remember his name. What, the rapper?
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Can't think of it right now.
Yeah. Look, I know what I'm talking about. All right, I don't. There's some things I don't know, but I can't tell you how to dunk a basketball without a trampoline. But I can tell you about wrestling.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, moving on.
So we get Mims, and I'm excited to see Mims because during COVID-19, when everyone else had every excuse in the world not to hit the gym, not to train, not to get better, Mims actually got better. He looks good. He looks healthier. I mean, he was one of these guys. Woodland Goblin said Max Caster, in case you guys were wondering. It was Max Caster. Seeing Mims in the ring from his first introduction to NWA to the latest episode, you saw a transformation, which I know he's still an enhancement guy. I know it's still not like the big times, but I was really happy to see him put in the work, and he looks so much better. Unfortunately, they put him in a match with a guy who I can't get excited about him. He's 6'7", he's 375 pounds, and he's awful. Just awful. I don't see the benefit of having this dude in the ring. If you need to put Austin Idol with somebody, put him with somebody that Austin Idol can actually build up. Watching Tyrus try to intimidate the announcers, like, I wanted Tim Storm to just pop him one right in the face. I was waiting for that to happen, actually.
I was kind of hoping it would happen. Hey, look, this is all I'm going to say about this. Tyrus got blown up giving his interview. I mean, the guy was wheezing by the end of it. He's not in shape. He's not young. He was never that over. To quote Mike Graham, he never earned a dime for anybody in this business, you know, as far as putting people's seats.
Yeah.
Why you're booking him like he's, you know, Andre the Giant at the end of his career?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I have no clue. Obviously, we're going to have him for the weeks coming up because, you know, one of the sins of booking 2 or 3 or 5 months of shows in three days is they don't get any feedback on the early stuff until it's too late.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, right now I know that when Tyrus is on, I can go sit on the toilet for a while.
So just, I'll briefly speak on this match. Because you guys know, like, I don't expect as much out of my heavyweights as I do out of my middle and junior heavyweights. I'm all right as long as they're out there standing, looking intimidating, kicking some butt, taking some names. But this ain't like that guy's not intimidating me. And I'm 200 pounds, and that dude doesn't strike a bit of fear into my heart because I know I whoop his just by making him walk around for 3 minutes. No, I'm not joking.
No, I know you're not.
When you wrestle a big giant guy like that, like a big guy, all you do is make him walk around for 5 minutes. And he moving his weight, he's gonna get tired. And he gets weaker and weaker and weaker by the second. And that's when, like, a guy like me who's exceptionally strong for 200 pounds, that's how I even the odds. And I've taken many a guy that big and just wore them out, and fatigue will make out of anybody. And I'm just saying, like, nothing about Tyrus intimidates me. Nothing really that impressive. And the thing I was hoping to get out of him was some good promo. Because I know he's got a good voice. I know a lot of the work he's done post WWE has been more like interview type stuff. I mean, honestly, put him on the announcer booth and give me Tim Storm back in the ring. If you're going to give me something, like, because I know Tim personally. Tim's going to give you something out there. It may not be the best he's got because the man's 56 years old, but it's going to be the best he's got. Tyrus is not giving you the best that he's got. And that's all I can say. And Mims, hey, you know what? Good for him for getting a match on NWA. It ain't his fault that he got booked in that match in the way they booked it against who they booked it against. I'm holding NWA responsible. So whatever wrestlers that listen to this, if they hear this, they want to get offended with me, that's fine. But it's really not your fault. It's not you. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the people booking it. They need to know what they're putting out there. And you need to know your competition. Like go watch wrestling and look at the difference between what you're putting out there and what everybody else is putting out there. I understand what kind of show you're trying to run. But that doesn't mean you live in a bubble, and I'll say it again. You still have a certain level of work rate that has to be given to us to pass the eyeball test for us to take your product as a serious product. And there are certain expectations in 2021 that we have of wrestling. And yes, AEW, they don't sell enough. I'll go out there and say that. Sometimes WWE has way too much entertainment in their matches, way too much fluff, and just not enough wrestling. I get it. Like, there's negativity, there's stuff to be critical, but I know that when I watch, and I'm not going to name any wrestlers, but when I watch wrestler A versus wrestler B for 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to get a high level of effort, a high level of athletic ability, and a certain level of quality, even if the programming may mess it up periodically, or there may be some green or lack of experiences going on. We're not getting that in this match, and really on this show as a whole. Like, if you were to give on a scale of 1 to 10 or a scale of 1 to 5 what the work rate, and guys, I hope you understand what I mean by work rate. What I mean by work rate is your ability to, like, do pro wrestling And what I mean by that is that wrestling is not acting, it's not sports, it's not entertainment, it's not dancing, it's not
gymnastics.
It's whatever people try to make it into something else so that they can have some context for it. It's pro wrestling. It has its own context. Football is not baseball, it's not basketball. Football is football, basketball is basketball, pro wrestling is pro wrestling. In wrestling, we rate people's ability to do the thing of wrestling with a term called work rate. If you want me to rate, they'll give you a work rate score for this show, it gets a 1. A 1, maybe a 0.5. Unacceptable for pay-per-view, especially with the production value and the talent that they have on that roster. Tim Storm, Thomas Latimer, Camille, the world champion, Aaron Stevens. I mean, the list goes on. They have talent in that locker room, and so when that's what they put out, that's unacceptable.
I think Dave Scooby said something that I wanted to point out. Tyrus can actually talk, and they have Austin blowing up the mic, and that's just a bad move.
I agree.
And I mean, there's got
better, Dave. 100%, Dave.
There's got to be a guy on the roster who could benefit from having somebody like Austin Idol manage him. I don't think Tyrus is that guy. And the thing about, and I don't want to just sit here keep rapping on Tyrus, but I mean, he seems unmotivated, right? Someone earlier said that he looked like Andre the Giant at the end of Andre's career. But Andre had this really long career where he was like an amazing talent. And when he was younger, and I know Tyrus isn't a young guy, but when he was younger, Andre was doing drop kicks off the top rope, Like, Andre was an athlete. He had a gigantism disease. That's why he couldn't really move around the ring so well at an advanced age. Tyrus is a big dude, but I think most of his problems come from bad eating and not exercising enough. And saying that as, I'm a fat guy too, so I can point it out.
Just give the guy a microphone and put him on a podium. Let him walk in. Give somebody a club or something.
And one more thing.
Book this better.
Well, one more thing too is like, if you're gonna have this guy supposedly be this monster, then have him go out there and crush people. Hey, Wrestling with MMA is hosting us. That's cool. If he's gonna be out there and you want to book him as a monster, I mean, fine. Then book him as a monster. Have him squash somebody in 2 or 3 minutes and get him off the camera, because that's about as long as he can go, anyways.
Let me interject one more time. I'm so sorry, guys.
Sure.
Paul Heyman was the best at this with ECW. So they had a guy, for those of you who watched ECW back in the day, his name was 911. 911 could not work. Okay? He couldn't. Over as Rover, dude. Like, over as anybody in the freaking company. Because they throw some trash wrestlers out there, maybe Slice Boogie and Oh Boy, go out there and the fans are like, what is this? This is ECW. We want more than this. 911's music would hit. He'd come out, choke slam on both, get a huge pop, and leave. That's how you book something like that. Like book talent in order to what they're doing. If they can't have a good match, that doesn't mean you can't use them. Just don't use them in a way they're not supposed to be being used. And in my mind, this is not, again, as much of a knock on Tyrus as it is the way Tyrus is booked. You have him come out, interrupt that first match, choke slam those two dudes and say, what is this? I'm here. Give me the microphone. Blah, 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 blah. Walk away. Doesn't have to go anywhere. It was entertaining. That's why we're here. Sorry. Okay. There you go, DK.
I mean, I said about Camille, when you put Camille on a show like this, Camille should never go more than 90 seconds. If you're going to book Tyrus as a monster, you don't watch him walk to the ring. He's already in the ring. There's a guy in there. It's an old Magnum TA match, like he used to have on TV, which, the audience would literally count to see how long it went, because it was rare that it went past, that went past 20 seconds. Tyrus comes in here. Tyrus is there. The bell rings. The other guy moves around for a second, charges him. Tyrus flattens him, drops, splashes him. Match is over. You cut out of the ring. You talk to him later in the show. after he's caught his breath. And, like people have said, he can't talk. The problem he talked this time was, like I said, he was winded at the end of it. But at least if it's after the match, it will make a little more sense.
Are we noticing a difference? Like, are we seeing there's a vacuum here? Is it because the issue seems to be booking right now, not talent?
I would say yes. That here's the thing. Right now, I don't feel like they're booking true old school or true modern. They're booking kind of some of the worst aspects of both. And
hold on, say it again. That was the statement of the night right there, DK.
Okay, they're not booking true old school. They're not booking true modern. They're booking some of the worst aspects of both. And look, there are things I do not like about old school wrestling, especially in tag team matches, because they were all the same. And but they need to focus more on the strengths. They need keep it simple, and maybe the other S for them should be in serious. Austin Idol, I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't an Austin Idol fan back in the early 80s when I started watching wrestling, late 70s, early 80s. So it's not. So, I mean, I don't have the appreciation for him as the legend that they're bringing in because I didn't like it. But if I set that aside, he seems like an anachronism in the show.
I want to interject and make a reference to a statement that got made in the YouTube chat where he says, where James Jackson Jr. says that we say all of this because we love the NWA and we want to see the product succeed. Look, my name is attached historically to the National Wrestling Alliance. My place in history is etched out because of those three letters. So if anybody has personal vested interest in the success of this brand, it's me. Because my name's on the dadgum record book. So in my mind, this is not me wanting the NWA to die or I hate the NWA. It's that, look, man, like there's so much here. Jeez. And Devin, man, I think you made like the statement of like the month. It's like the best thing, the worst things they could do seems to be what they're doing instead of like maximizing what they had. With the locker room like they've got, man, they could be putting on some seriously good wrestling matches and a good wrestling show. And like you said, DK, 2 or 3 matches. Anyways, I know that Pope cuts a promo tonight, which was the highlight of the night for me. Are we getting close to that?
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. I just want to say one more thing, because his legacy is attached to the NWA. And you're not going to find bigger NWA fans than DKM and myself. I mean, we have title belts. We've gone to championship matches. I mean, DK was there when Kerry Von Erich beat Ric Flair for the NWA World title, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I was. I
mean, I was there when Adam Pearce beat Colt Cabana like a couple times. I was there when Colt Cabana beat Adam Pearce. I flew to China to see this champion, Nick Aldis. We're huge NWA fans, and I don't want you guys to.
I went to watch Jack Stain win the title in San Antonio, which, a 5-hour drive for me. And people who know me know that anything more than 30 minutes, I hate.
I mean, we've traveled for the NWA. We do this podcast not because we want to put down the NWA, because we want to see it fail. We want to see it succeed. And I think there's something telling that, Kevin hasn't wrestled in probably, 8 years, Kev? 9 years? And that DK and I have never stepped in a wrestling ring before, in an official capacity. But we just gave you a better booked Tyrus than the NWA has been able to do thus far. And that says something to me. And it's disappointing. Now, okay, Granted, we're only on the second episode of the relaunch of the NWA, so there's opportunity for these things to change, and there's opportunity for the brand to get better. But I mean, why wait for it to get better? Why not just get out there and do it, you know?
Well, it's not like this is like a relaunch like from so long ago. I mean, it's not just a year ago that Power was like one of the talks of the wrestling world. So it's not like it's been that long, and I'm not gonna forget that. What was the match where the tag match where it was like Latimer and Tim Storm and a couple? I mean, them dudes were out there just blasting, man, just blasting. Big league, heavy hitting, well spaced, perfect timing. All the psychology makes sense. Like big time wrestling match. To me, that was like, hey, you can put this match on any show, anywhere, and it's going to be good. Okay? It's not like they don't have those same guys on the roster. And so, like, it's hard for me to understand when you have that, how this is what comes out.
Let me wrap it up and going back to what we kind of were talking about. Look, for the most part, I keep these conversations private, but I actually had a chat conversation with Dave Lagana shortly after they took over the NWA. And I told him, I am a huge NWA fan, but I am not a fanboy. I will always be honest with what I like and dislike. So you never have to worry if I tell you that I think something's good, whether I really think it's good or I'm just saying it because it's an NWA show. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's all three of us here.
Yeah.
We are going to be honest. If we tell you something's good, we believe it's good. We're not stretching. We're not trying. We're not only looking for the good aspects and kind of ignoring the bad. If we say it's good, it's good. And, you know, there were times in Primetime Live when I said, man, that was a hell of a show. That was a good show. And there are times I said, I paid for that. You know, and it's... So, you know, my point in wrapping up this section of, you know, watch them go off, is all of you out there know you get what we really believe, what we really think. We don't water it down. Maybe we should, but we don't. And, you know, hey, let's talk about the best interview, the best promo of the week on any wrestling show.
Right.
Now, we can't say enough positive about Elijah Burke, the Pope. I mean, here we just spent a good hour telling you what we didn't like about this show, and now we're going to tell you about some things we did like. And first and foremost, Elijah Burke is having this resurgence. He's like the phoenix, you know, coming from the ashes. You've got a guy who, when he left the WWE, he didn't start working everywhere else. He was an announcer in Impact Wrestling. Let me say that again. He was an announcer for Impact Wrestling. They didn't put him in the ring. They did not give him an opportunity. Now, maybe that was his choice or maybe it wasn't. But ever since he stepped into a ring for the NWA, it's like promo after promo has been money. And he backs it up. He might not be the greatest wrestler in the world, but right now he might be the greatest promo in the world. And for one, Fred Rosser, I like Fred Rosser. I'm a huge Fred Rosser guy. And to see Fred Rosser, you know, kind of come at the Pope the way he did, and then the Pope's response, I mean, it was just glorious. DK, tell me about Pope's promo. Tell me what you liked.
Well, just everything. Pope has energy that is infectious. I mean, you're right there with him when he's talking. You get excited with it. I mean, and look, when Pope first came on and he was looking for his 4 horsemen, I didn't like any of that. But as a wrestler where he's talking about him and he's talking about what he wants to do and everything like that, and it was so good. You just get so excited. You get so into it and you believe him. See, the thing is, unlike some of the other shows where, you know, some guy wrote down what they're supposed to be saying, almost word for word for a lot of them. You know this is 100% Pope, and you know it's 100% Elijah Burke as he's saying it. You know, these are the skills that, you know, Dusty Rhodes, that Ric Flair, Harley Race, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. I mean, when you go look at Tully Blanchard was not the greatest in the ring. All right. Tully Blanchard, if he had not hooked into the Four Horsemen, never would have been much more than a mid-card guy. He wasn't that big. In real life, he was only about 190 pounds. He could talk, though, and he played his role well. I hated Tully Blanchard. I hated Tully Blanchard so much that I paid money to watch Tully Blanchard get his ass kicked. Isn't that what he's supposed to do? All right. Oh, I pay money because I want to see him go in, and I want to hear him talk, and I want to watch him in the ring, and I want to get that infectious way with him. So, man, he does it for me, and I really want to program with him and Nick Aldis, because Aldis is a good promo. He's a totally different type of promo. And I think that those two could have a war of words that probably could rival the Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes war of words. Kevin, am I crazy or?
You know, might pump the brakes on maybe Ric Flair.
No.
But
I'm not going to.
But let's talk in context of where we're at and what we're talking about. So, Pope is easily the best guy on the microphone as it stands right now, along with Nick Aldis. Like, those are your two best promo guys as it stands right now. One more, I will fight you to the death, that Thomas Latimer is by far the best in-ring worker that this company has.
Okay.
It's just second to none. But if you're talking about on the microphone, you're looking at the two guys that are definitely the best two guys on the microphone, especially since Aaron Stevens, whatever they're doing. Because when he was Karate Guy and Third Degree, I is a heel to me, and I liked it. But right now, we've kind of lost that. So when Pope goes out there, it's electric. When he talks, it's exciting, just like you're saying. And I kind of felt like Ross. I'm like, welcome to the NWA, buddy. Of all people, you're gonna throw that guy out there to have a promo with. It's like when they put Chris Jericho out there with The Rock for the first time. It's like, man, that's a lot to have to come back from, because Rosser did not look good on the mic there. And again, we know Rosser's good in the ring.
Solid.
But in my opinion, he almost lost the match with that promo, because it's almost like you can't have this guy beat Pope now. That's how I see it. Which is why we have promos. Because it's part of the business.
Right.
It's just part of what we love about wrestling. That's why we have it. And again, when I talked earlier about work rate, that's part of it. Like, we talk about Adam Pearce on the show all the time. Because in my opinion, since the Rock, Steve Austin era of great promos in that era, between then and now, Adam Pearce was far and away the best guy on a microphone, whether you watched him on YouTube or on TV or not. The guy was just killer on the microphone. It means a lot, man. That's my man. But no, it means a lot. And so I think what Pope has started to become, and started to own his own like place on the show. I think it's really good for the NWA. It's a great segment. And again, it kind of goes back to Devin's point about keeping it simple. You get your best promo guy out there, you give him 5 minutes and let him talk, and you let him dress somebody down and build himself up. I mean, God, it's not that hard. Just let your talent go out there and be talent. I mean, when do I get to see a one-on-one, like, 10, 15-minute match with like Latimer and like Trevor Murdoch, or that's who it was in the tag match. I mean, where you just got some like good work rate, hardcore beats, where it's like real good wrestling. I mean, I'm ready for that. But that's off the subject. I really did enjoy the promo segment. I felt like it was the best segment of the whole show.
And then before we get to the women's match, also someone just said, what about the tag team promo? We had a very awkward situation because, I mean, after last week's main event, JR Kratos, Aaron Stevens, it just seems like, you know, that tag team's destined for failure. I mean, they already kind of made that out, and now, Kevin, you alluded to it flat out. We don't know what Stevens is anymore because he was this really good heel, and now he's in this gray area, like championing the babyface. We're not really sure exactly what we're gonna get from him. And then you've got Sal Renaro, you know, the kid. The kid comes up there and asks for a shot at the tag titles, and again, this isn't the same old Aaron Stevens. They agreed to give him a tag team title shot. And unless this is some gigantic swerve, I just don't even understand. Is this how title matches are made? You know, we're trying to be positive, but again, you got to recognize the promo. Is that how title matches are made now? You just got to ask? Is that all it is? Just got to ask?
I forgot about the promo. It was that forgettable.
Yeah.
I forgot about
it. Honestly, so did I. It was so weird.
And
I'm a big Aaron Stevens fan, but I don't, again, we're going to go to Kevin's booking. I don't like his current thing. It's like he's just this lost person in a tag team that obviously the partner has issues with him, which, by the way, can we stop that in wrestling in general? You know, split up tag teams later, not while they're champions. And it's just Sal Renaro. Why do I want to see him challenge for the tag team champion?
Because he asked.
Why do I want to see him? And then especially, why do I want to see him challenge for the tag team championship? And shouldn't he have had a partner there with him challenging? I mean, is whoever running the show back there now, I mean, are they Vince McMahon, who obviously doesn't like tag teams?
Terry McDermott said Twilight Zone segment.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
Terry,
yes.
You nailed it.
Yes, Twilight Zone. We're going to steal that one, and we're going to keep that one and use that again and again and again. Because it felt like we were in another world. Whatever that was. You want to talk about the women's match? Because I don't feel like we have anywhere to really go with this thing.
Well, I just want to say one thing about tag team talks. We talked about the national title earlier, and it's like, why isn't the NWA getting tag teams? Why are they? They had a few when they first started. They've all disappeared. Let's look at their tag team champions. They used Villain Enterprises from
Ring of Honor.
They used, which was kind of a weird team to begin with. Their next set of champions for 23 days was Wild Card, which the whole concept behind them was that they were just thrown together.
And they worked pretty good, though. I mean,
they're like the best team. They're like the best team they've had.
They were good, but then they didn't do anything with them. It's like they put the titles on them, and they used TV to elongate how long they held the titles, because they were they weren't champions a month. And then they put the titles on the Rock and Roll Express, and we've all expressed our opinions on that, so we'll move forward. And then they put the titles on James Storm and Eli Drake. And apparently that was basically to give Drake a side thing while they were busy trying to
fire me up. I'm already fired up, Jay. I don't need any help.
I'm sending that to you. You could sleep in it.
All right, you two. But, trying to get
a rub for Eli Drake.
Oh, yeah, well, they put the titles on Eli Drake and stuff like that because they... Instead of giving the fans a match they wanted to give the fans Marty Scurll, and I'm sorry, even if nothing had happened with Marty Scurll in the speaking out thing, I don't want to see him as NWA World Champion.
And I'm going to jump in right now and say something, that this is where they're doing the worst part of old school booking, not the best part. Old school booking was you would try to kind of keep the guys that everybody wanted to see away from each other. New school booking is they wrestle each other 5 times, in a month before they have their big match. Okay, those are like polar opposites. But this is where the NWA messes up. You don't know the future. You don't know what life is going to be like. What holds. Well, of course, we all have no idea. But my point is
especially when there's not contracts.
But we'll never get Eli Drake versus Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship for 25 minutes in the context that we could have had at least twice had they not played that stupid game of, let's make the fans wait. It's not 1985, man. I don't mind waiting a little bit, but give me the dadgum match. For God's sakes, give me the match. Give me the best 2 workers that you got. Put them out there and let them freaking work. You know what? Hey, newsflash. Sting worked Flair. Okay? Flair worked Steamboat. Savage worked Steamboat. The best workers worked each other. Okay? Like, even in the old school. And they definitely work each other today. So, I don't understand it. You don't know how long. And the sad thing is we could have a couple matches of Aldis versus Eli Drake for 25 minutes in historical YouTube video on file somewhere to watch, and go back and watch these historic matches. Now we won't have those because they're playing around and not giving us the best booking they could give us. And I'm telling you, this will be the ruin. If it doesn't work out, it's going to be because they didn't use the talent that they had properly. Did we get to see Malenko versus Guerrero in ECW? Yeah, we did. Did we get to see Shane Douglas versus Taz finally? Yes, we did. So, guys, we want to see these matches. Put the best guys in there with the best guys and give us some work rate. I'm done on that.
And my issue is, I feel the reason we didn't get it was because they were too busy playing glad face to appease Marty Scurll so that they could get some pull in ROH. And that just bugs me. And Jay's gone dark again. And
not even here?
So ignoring Jay now, since he's no longer on the show.
Yeah.
Just to finish up what I was saying. So then they had to get the COVID hit, and they had to get the belts off of, guys that were no longer under contract. And so I want to be real careful with how I say this, but, some people don't realize that Josephus question mark in the NWA had actually already fallen out. And that's why he wasn't brought in to be the tag team champion with Aaron Stevens. So he actually wasn't associated with the NWA by the time of his passing. And they had to do something, so they basically grabbed some primetime live person that had been on the show before, because it was the type of guy that Billy likes. And they team up in their first match and they win the tag team titles. And now they've already got dissension. And this reminds me of when TNA had the NWA tag team titles. First team they put it on, AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn, and they break them up while champions. And then the next team they put them on for any length of time or anything was America's Most Wanted, James Storm and Chris Harris. And they start teasing dissension between them. And the fans about rioted. And they kind of straightened that out and said, okay, no, we won't redo this story again.
Yeah, well let's rip. We're going to talk about good tag teams. I mean, again, maybe it's so bad to talk about WWE on here, but I mean, let's talk about the New Day and say, how long has that team been a cohesive unit, and how effective has it been in getting the people to care about them and be emotionally invested? Because there is no dissension between them. Even when they go off and do their own separate things, they still support each other. And that's what being a team is. And so I'm just backing up your point, Devin, that it works. And it sells. It sells a lot. It sells bootios. It sells goofy stuff like freaking unicorn headbands.
Now let
again.
Go ahead, Kev.
No, I'm just saying, I'm backing up Devin's point with a modern example of how like it works. It still works, because nothing that the New Day's doing, the Freebirds didn't do.
So I'm literally on the Fight website right now for the NWA for the next episode of NWA Power, episode number 24. It goes on the air in 4 days, 20 hours, 38 minutes, and 56 seconds as I say this. And the poster art for that is Nick Aldis, right? And then on the other side, two guys that we like a lot in Jack Stane and Crimson. So when we keep talking about a lack of tag teams, we keep talking about who we would like to see. I'm foreshadowing here based on a graphic. Maybe we're going to get the War Kings back, and then maybe we have something to talk about.
Sure, but it's like, jumping in on that, I had a feeling they're going to do that. But why do those guys go out there in a four-way and do a job to slice food?
Right.
And they need more than one.
Look at my face.
Well, and again, you're right. Everything that you're saying is not wrong. But the only benefit of the doubt that I'm going to give the NWA, and yes, for years, almost 20 years, I've been an NWA apologist, so I'll do it on this show as well. But
go for it.
I really feel like we still need to give them time. The WWE produces 3 hours of wrestling every week for Raw, 3 hours every week for SmackDown. I think it's 2 hours for NXT, and there's a lot of content, so they have a lot of time to tell these stories. We're getting 1 hour a week, and it's just starting back up again. So I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that things need to play out. We need to see where things are going. I mean, do we know if Adonis is a part of Strictly Business yet? The answer is no. What's going to happen when Serena Deep is healthy enough to defend her title? What's going to happen when the Pope does step in the ring with Fred Rosser? Is he going to be able to win 7 matches in a row, or I guess 6 matches now, to get to Nick Aldis? Who's going to be the next man to challenge Nick Aldis? When is the next pay-per-view? So they have time to build all this storyline up. And again, as the NWA apologist, I'm going to say that we just have to give them some time. I'm like you guys, if this wasn't attached to the NWA, I would be pissed that I paid for it. Honestly. And
I don't,
but we did pay for it.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with what you're saying. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but kind of like to help us, suspend our disbelief, you got to help us understand where you're going. And that's what I was saying with Slice Boogie. I don't understand where they're going. That's what I'm saying with the tag team thing. I don't understand where they're going. If they're a top championship, somebody trying to see who it was in the chat, but it's like, why? Kratos being mad at Stevens is stupid, crazy, whatever you want to say, because he wouldn't be champion without Stevens picking him out of the hat, saying, we can't prove he wasn't, question mark. And so, all right, we rambled. We're going long like we always do, even though we promise ourselves we won't. There was one more match on the show, one more segment that I'm going to bitch about. And so Jay, why don't you tell us about the women's tag team thing? And I'll get my bitching, thing ready, because I had a major problem with it. And then I don't know what Kevin thinks of it, so we'll let Kevin talk first after you.
Well, how about this? Because if somebody's got a positive spin to put on the women's match, we'll let them go last. So it's not gonna be me. So let me go first.
I'll go last because I got.
Yeah,
Let's just say it was Thunder Rosa and Alex Gracia versus Sky Blue and Genocide. Now this was called a Thunder Rosa, like a women's showcase match. Most of these women have either competed in MPW, Mission Pro Wrestling, that's Thunder Rosa's home promotion, or have been associated with Thunder Rosa's wrestling promotions in the past. So this was a showcase. I'm going to say one thing before I let you guys go. This is what we need for the NWA to introduce some women onto the roster if they're going to, co-op with Mission Pro Wrestling. I'm all for it. I'll let you guys talk about the match. Kevin, go ahead.
So, first of all, big props to Kokushi right now in the chat because he's on fire. I feel like he's tracking with kind of what I'm trying to say because he's pointing out this, top talent and what the NWA could do with it. So, big shout out to Kokushi because I'm fire in the chat right now. As far and everybody else, I love y'all too. So please don't. Y'all are all great. But with the women's now, the women's match was not the worst part of the show to me at all. In fact, in-ring work rate, it was the best part of the show. But it's still like a 2. And you had Thunder Rosa out there, like who's a 5, like has a 5 ability, is a ring general. So in my mind, if the match doesn't go as good as it should, it's on her. And that's because we know how good she is, and I know she's a trainer, and I know she knows how to run a match. Even if you got 3 other people in the match with you, you can still run the match. Melina out at ringside. I mean, you had a lot going on. But I'll say this. It's a tag match. And it took almost half the match. Devin brought this up, I think. One of us or all of us brought this up last week. The tag matches have to have tags. And, it's not go out there and shine and then for 5-10 minutes run a match with somebody else and then 2 other people tag in and they run a match. That's not a tag match. Even if you're not a tag team. Tag matches have psychology, and I feel like the NWA hasn't enforced this enough with their tag team matches, especially in main event or in bigger match like showcase events like this. I just felt like Thunder Rosa was in there too long with the smaller girl.
Sky Blue.
Sky Blue, is it Sky Blue? Okay.
Sky Blue.
I felt like she was in there way too long with her. And again, this is on Thunder Rosa. I felt like the spacing in the match was just not as good as it could have been. I felt like the tags were all sloppy. You had back tags, you had tags underneath the rope. I mean, you're professionals, you're on television, you're getting paid. These are things you should be doing. You should know to do these things, okay? And I, coming from where I come from, have a high standard of how good I know women's wrestling can be, and I'm not gonna let women wrestling slide. I'm gonna hold it to the standard that I know it can be, and that's a respect thing. That's not a disrespect. I just felt like they could have done a little bit better job in terms of the technical aspect of the match. It was technically not a very sound match, though it was definitely the best of the best work rate of the night. It still was like a 2 at best, and I hold Thunder Rosa a little bit responsible for that because I saw her go out there and wrestle Camille last week and have a really good match in terms of carrying the match. I just felt like story. I guess they're leading up to Melina versus Thunder Rosa. I can get behind that. Something I'd want to see happen. I feel like they're starting to move Thunder Rosa away from the title, which is fine. Give her a side storyline. Let me watch her and Melina wrestle. Totally okay with that. Totally okay with Camille being the #1 contender. Totally okay with Camille winning the championship at this point. What I do want to see, they did give me a little bit, was that one big girl and Camille going facing up.
Genocide.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. That's intriguing to me. That's interesting. Give me something. They don't have to be perfectly technically sound when they're that big, to go out there and just bust it up. Like, give me some of that. If you're going to be a middleweight or a light heavyweight, your work rate has to be a little higher. If you're going to be a little bigger, you still have to have a certain element of quality to your work, or it's just trash. We talked about that with Tyrus earlier. But with both of them being at the right age, athletic ability, I feel like it's just going to be really hard for them, because even if they don't sell for each other, it's going to be great because they're going to be trying to make each other sell, and I love watching some of that. So, you know, there's a lot in that match. I felt like it was the most interesting of the matches. I just felt like we could have gotten a little bit more work rate out of the girls. That was pretty positive.
That actually was positive. DK, did you...
All right, I'm not going to disagree with anything Kevin said, which is unusual for me. So it annoyed me in the idea that it was sloppy, like Kevin said. I don't know what their issue with not doing tags. You can go find a clip on YouTube about Al Snow talking about, tag matches. And like he says, the gimmick of the match is the tag. I mean, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're waiting for. And so it's a team. You're a team, not two individuals, as Kevin was pointing out. So I would like to see more tagging in NWA tag team matches. I'd like to see correct tags in NWA tag team matches. Tire of the back slaps, the under the ropes, no tag at all. I think this match could have been fine for what they said it was going to be, which was kind of an exhibition of Thunder Rosa's people. It was a little bit sloppy, but if you're saying, hey, here's an exhibition of, some of our students or whatever, we can kind of get by on the sloppiness or whatever, and stuff like that. Okay, here's the problem I have, and it really pissed me off. There wasn't an end to the match.
Yeah, I knew that
Camille
was coming.
comes in, out of nowhere, spears Thunder Rosa, and what they told me at that, for no reason, I mean, Camille just beat her clean last week. She's the number one contender to the women's title. Didn't have any reason other than just being a bitch to do it. and it could have waited till after the match and had the exact same effect that they were looking for. So, but what you tell me when you end a match like that, Kevin was talking about 911 earlier, and in BCW, or I think they did it some with Braun Strowman in WWE a little bit. What you're telling me is that the match you just put on, that we're just watching, that you're just talking about, was totally meaningless, that none of these people really mattered. There's nothing, they don't even deserve a win. Because, it's all about Camille, Melina, and Thunder Rosa. And sure, it was neat to see Camille turn around and face somebody that was as big or maybe even a little bit bigger than her. Except for, I don't believe it's going to be competitive if they would put the two of them in the ring together. Because they're building Camille in this strong thing that I have no reason to believe that would be any match other than just Camille maybe struggling a little more than normal, but basically handing the other girl her ass. Now, maybe if they had given, you said it was Genocide? I didn't really keep track.
Yeah, Genocide.
Now, maybe if Genocide had won the match over Garcia?
Granzia.
Maybe if she had won the match with a power move, then the two of them stand face to face, I go, ooh. But what I saw was this girl in a match that doesn't matter, because they told me it didn't matter, because it didn't even deserve an ending. and she's facing off with someone who it's the number one contender to the women's championship. He knows riding fast, and I'm going, you killed my interest in that. Why would you do that? So, what should have been a big moment for me, hey, Camille may have met somebody who's going to, give her a stiff challenge. No, you've already told me that she's new. You told me that, she's one of Thunder Rosa's students. And you've told me that her match doesn't matter.
Well, and I think actually Roscoe's kind of funny. He says, well, doesn't calling it an exhibition match kind of say it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good statement.
Yeah, I mean,
it kind of does.
There's definitely validity to that, but now, DK, are you finished, or you still have some more?
I want to jump.
No, that's basically it. I mean, Roscoe's right, but it's still something to showboat, or show off what these girls can do, except for it didn't.
Well, but I'm saying, why call it an exhibition match?
They shouldn't have.
That's my point. They shouldn't have done that. It's just a tag match. It's a women's tag match between 4 good women. Like, no one has to know whether they're. No one has to know. Like, why do you gotta say that? Anyway, I agree where he says that somebody brings on here. They said, if you watch Mission Pro, those ladies can really go. I don't know what was happening around Bauer, Alexia, Sky. They have amazing potential. Okay, all that I agree with. But this is something that needs to be pointed out. You're on national television now. You're on pay-per-view. The dial is turned up. The pressure is turned up. The tension is turned up. It's not independent wrestling anymore. It's live. Now again, it's not live, but you get my point. It's television being recorded. It's a big difference, guys. Like, it's a big difference between going on Dave Marquez, NWA Hollywood, or Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, where you're being recorded and you're in front of cameras. It's so different than wrestling Barrett Brown in Mineral Wells, Texas on Sunday afternoon. It's a lot easier for me and Barrett to go out there and kill it with no pressure than it is to go out there on TV and do it with pressure. Granted, when you get used to that, the buzz, the feel, like nothing was as fun as going and beating up Nick Madrid on TV for me. Because him and I were on the same speed. We both knew we were on TV. We knew it was time to turn the dial up. And so when we were going at the same speed. And I think what you're looking at is you had a few girls that maybe don't have as much experience like Thunder Rosa does at understanding, like, lights, camera, action changes everything. And that's probably why you saw a little bit of a dip. Because I know some of these girls, because I'm from Texas. I know who they are. I've been around them. I mean, Alexa or Alex Gracia has been around since. I know who she is, and I know she's better than what I've seen of her on TV. But that's something that needs to be said. Is that it's a difference. There is a speed. There is a certain level of excellence and work rate that should be required in a situation like this. And this is some of the details that Devin and I and Jay are pointing out, is just simple stuff like ring positioning for the hard camera. If you're not there yet, you shouldn't be on TV. You should be talking like what they said, having dark matches with the fake camera out there or something to learn, or practice that in your practice sessions. Learn how to be in the middle of the ring. Know that when you're in a professional tag match, that like you got to tag like a real tag match does, not like an indie show where just anything goes. So, anyways, that's my last thing. Jay, please take us home.
So, I'm not sure how I could pull out the positives. I mean, you guys did a good job of point counterpoint, and there was some good things about this match. I think first of all, seeing some new faces on the NWA is always exciting. I know they're all connected to Mission Pro, and if there's any kind of crossover appeal, that's going to be positive for the NWA, and it's also going to be positive for Mission Pro. Again, it's a new promotion. It's been around for a while now, but it's still relatively new. I don't think they've been a year into the business as a promotion, and I think it's good to have that opportunity to be able to pull from that talent base. Whether they were great or not, sure, they need some work. They do. And at this level, the NWA really can't be too picky. All the best talent is getting signed, whether it be MLW, Ring of Honor, NXT, AEW, the WWE. It's very hard to get new faces. Look, Primetime Live, we talked about it. Max Caster had a good outing on Primetime Live. Next thing we know, he signed to AEW. Mike Bennett got signed to Ring of Honor. Hell, they had like 3 women, Elena Black, Lacey Ryan, and Priscilla Kelly. All 3 of them got picked up quick because they're good. So I'm not saying that these girls were bad. I'm saying that they need an opportunity. And yeah, we're paying for this. I think it would behoove the NWA to figure out a way to do like a dark matches, or like someone mentioned it, like an AEW dark version for NWA, whether they call it Shockwave or Circled Squared or whatever, but do something similar to that they can get these talents in there, not necessarily under contract, but have them wrestle for them. Now, getting back to the match, I thought the match was fun. I don't think it was technically sound. It was fun. I liked watching Thunder Rosa in there with her girls. I think that potentially all 3 of those girls could have an impact in the NWA as it goes further. And I really did. I know it didn't lead to a match, and I know DK and Kev, you both said it, like there was not a big confrontation, but I love to see that look in Genocide, and she did not step down. She did not step down from the number 1 contender. I will agree with you guys. I don't understand why she came after Thunder Rosa. It seems like to me that storyline has been finished. There was no reason for that. It didn't make much sense to me. But a lot of the booking right now in the NWA doesn't make a lot of sense. We'll see how the storyline plays itself out. Of course, Serena Deep is still on the IL. She's not active yet. She's still recovering from her knee scope. We don't know when she'll be back, and we don't know if she'll even wrestle in the NWA. She might stay in AEW, and maybe perhaps Camille's gonna have to go to AEW to win that title. But regardless of what happens, we'll be here next week. We're gonna be here talking the NWA. We're gonna be here talking about what we liked and what we didn't like. And guys, I'll be honest, man, this wasn't the most fun show we've done, but it definitely was real. And we're here to give you our opinion, and it's strictly that. It's just our opinion. One guy has been in the ring before. 2 guys have been longtime fans. We all equally love the NWA, as we hope you do too. That's why you're here. So if you enjoyed this show, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, the fellow NWA fans. Kev, you look like you want to say something.
I'm telling them to hit that like button. Hit the like button. And the one thing I want to point out too is, hey, this is what we're doing this because, of course, Jay and Devin and I, whether Devin admits it or not, we all love each other. We all get along. For us, it's a blast just to come on here, to be in, from California to the great state of Texas, over here in Florida, for all of us to get to sit together and just talk wrestling. For us, we want you guys to be able to see what 3 guys that love wrestling, that are friends, get together and talk about. And for me, I want to be able to make sure that, you guys watching get to know what it looks like from the wrestler's eye perspective. Sure, I may not be John Cena, but I did beat Daniel Bryan, and I can tell you a few things, about what a good match looks like, and what it looks like, and what maybe your favorite wrestlers might be thinking when they're watching these matches. That's a big reason why we do this is maybe tonight we were a little harsh, but it's more so that we can get out here with Terry and Jimmy and Ryan and Kokushi, Woodland, Roscoe, if I miss somebody, James, to come
Willie
out here, chat wrestling, Willie, chat wrestling with you guys, chat wrestling with each other. It ain't always gonna be fluff, but the thing is for me tonight was fun. I hope you guys had fun. I had a blast. I love talking wrestling. I don't care if it's good or bad. Jay, both of our baseball teams probably won't be very good this year.
Hey.
Yours probably better than mine. Just accept it until it happens. But the point is just because my team sucks doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking baseball. same thing with wrestling. Just because maybe right now we didn't like this show doesn't mean we don't like the NWA. Doesn't mean we're not supporters. Doesn't mean we don't love wrestling. But most importantly, it doesn't mean we don't love you people, you guys, girls that are watching the show. We're glad you're here. Thanks for listening to us rant and rave about wrestling. Thanks for loving wrestling with us. And that there's my positive spin on the show tonight.
Love it. PMA all day.
Promo for the night too.
Hey, yeah, good job. You need to get at least one promo in a week. Kev, if they want to follow you on the socials or check out your YouTube page, how can they find you?
You can check out some of my old matches on Kevin Douglas 247 on YouTube. It's got a full library, and I promised that I would be uploading some more videos. I just have to get those onto flash drive. It'd probably be like 10 matches from like the late 2000s, early 2010 era, when I was definitely my physical prime. So keep an eye out for that on my YouTube channel. Just Kevin. Okay, let me get this straight. Kevin Douglas 247. Kevin Douglas 247. Professional wrestling. I'm also a Christian minister. I also do motivational speaking. You can find those types of videos on Just Kevin 247, and that's on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Kevin Lee Frazier. You can find me on Facebook, Kevin L. Frazier. If I ever do Twitter again, it would be Kevin Lee Frazier. And if you want to find anything about me in terms of professional wrestling, you can search Kevin Douglas Wrestler and enjoy it, because it was a long, hard career. I worked my butt off. I'm still paying my dues for it, so any appreciation for it.
DK, how can they find you on the socials?
Why would they want to? The only thing that I do that's wrestling related is Twitter, which is at DKMFWTX. You'll also get some of my political beliefs, so you can cancel me later.
You have to be famous to be canceled.
I am famous. Anyway, just famously arrogant. Just to chime in a little bit here as we close out this week, there's a reason you don't see me on reviews of AEW or WWE or any of those shows. It's because I don't watch them. So, so far, NWA has more positive than negative, and that's why I watch it. I'm not one of those people that watches shows so I can go on social media and complain about it. And like I said, you get our honest opinion, and if they have a rope starting good old show next week, we'll tell you. And as Kevin said, we appreciate all of you that take your time to actually watch us as we stammer and babble and be us. So thanks to all of you. Have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Okay.
Okay, battery's dead. I really need to get an AC adapter. Real quick, guys, again, thanks for everyone for tuning in. You can follow us on all the social medias at The Alliance Blog. That's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, Twitch and YouTube. We do this every week, every Thursday. We do it at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And then, of course, on Tuesdays, we do the pre-party with me, J. Cal. And that's at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Make sure you guys check that out. If you guys really, really love the show, get yourself a hat or a t-shirt. Visit the Alliance merch section. Just go to alliance-wrestling.com and merch. Yeah, that's a darn good looking hat right there. And
I'll be in my t-shirt next week, Jay. I'll be in my t-shirt next week. I forgot about it.
I love it. All right, guys. And then if you guys do like the site, make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and visit the website alliance-wrestling.com for the news, the written form. We also put the podcast available on Fridays at the Alliance Blog. That's on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. Until next week, guys, we'll see you at the matches. You all have a good night now. Right now.
I think we're done.